Ah, c'est lundi matin, on est tous de bonne humeur. Merci d'être ici à l'Université d'Ottawa. C'est très bien de voir une si grande salle. Really glad to see all of you today. And before I start, I'd like to recognize that we are here gathered on the Anishinaabe traditional territory of the Algonquin Nation. Bon matin tout le monde. Alors, mon nom est Mona Fortier. Je suis députée d'Ottawa, Vanier, Gloucester, ici dans la région de la capitale nationale, et également secrétaire parlementaire pour la ministre aux Affaires étrangères. Et ça me fait un grand plaisir d'être votre maîtresse de cérémonie ce matin. Et aussi pour discuter du fait qu'on va, le gouvernement du Canada, discuter de l'emploi chez les jeunes partout au pays. On sait très bien que les jeunes sont préoccupés présentement. We know that youth are preoccupied by jobs, and the government of Canada is addressing this situation. We will hear more about it. I do want to also recognize, I see members du Collège La Cité, another great institution in the Ottawa, Vanier, Gloucester riding. Ça fait plaisir. Et on a dans la région de la capitale nationale également l'Université Carleton, l'Université Saint-Paul et aussi, évidemment, le Collège algonquin. Alors, très grande région avec beaucoup d'institutions. Now, to go directly to the subject, I am pleased to introduce the Honourable Patty Hajdu, Minister of Jobs and Families and Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario. Patty.
Well, thank you so much, Mona. And I've known Mona now for almost 11 years. It's amazing we've been doing this job for that long. And Mona is such a fierce champion for this region, her riding, of course, but for the entire Ottawa area. And she's not afraid to say hard things, which I think is one of the most important criteria to being a successful politician. You have to be able to say hard things at sometimes inopportune moments. And it's one of the things I think about when I think about Mona Fortier. She's brave, she's courageous, she knows how to challenge systems, push people, and I'm just grateful to be able to work with you every single day. I'm also here with my Parliamentary Secretary, Annie Koutrakis, who's going to say a few words in a bit. It's been a pleasure to get to know you more, Annie, as we've been working more closely together, and she's such a champion for the opportunity for everyone in Canada to succeed. That's really why I'm in politics. 11 years ago, I was running the largest homeless shelter in northwestern Ontario, and I was pretty frustrated by what happens to people when there are our safety nets in Canada fail individuals. And I chose at that time to run for the Liberal Party of Canada. I had never run for anything. I was the first woman in my riding to run for the Liberal Party, and I'm the first female Liberal MP in that riding. And it's been such an honor to do this work over the last 11 years. It's not been without, I'm sure everyone knows, it's bumps and challenges. But when we are able to achieve big things, like the $8.5 billion agreement with First Nations across this country to restore child and family protective services to the control of First Nations, to ensure that children can grow up surrounded by language and love and culture and stay with family and extended family, that's how I know we're turning a corner. And so I am so thrilled to be here today to talk about making sure that every young person has a chance to succeed. You know, in the spirit of telling stories, years ago, I went off to university. I was 17 years old, 17 and a half. So can you imagine that? And many people are very young when they head off to university. I was the first in my family to pursue post-secondary education. My mom was a school bus driver. She worked really, really hard. It was an exhausting job. However, there wasn't a lot of money in our family, and luckily we had Canada Student Loans and Grants Residual to help backfill the costs for families like mine that really wouldn't have had that opportunity for post-secondary education. Nonetheless, I dropped out. Many reasons. Very challenging to be the first in your family, very challenging to be so far away from home without any kind of safety net, and certainly felt as a young person first in my family that I had let everyone down in terms of the ambition that people had for me. And yet, I had a second opportunity to return to university in my mid-20s, actually pushed there by the birth of my first son, who I really wanted to demonstrate to that we can do hard things in our family. And so I went back to Lakehead University, gathered my courage, and graduated with my first degree from Lakehead University at 27. My story is not unlike many young people across this country. It was challenging, even after university, to find paid work. I was very, very fortunate to take advantage of a federal government program that provided paid work experience in my community with a not-for-profit organization called the Thunder Bay Literacy Group. And the Thunder Bay Literacy Group actually helped adults who had fallen through the cracks have an opportunity to learn how to read and write and gain numeracy skills. And it opened my eyes to a career path that I never even thought was possible, that I could actually make a living while helping people that were facing real adversity. And I tell that story because that's what today's about. It's about paid work experiences for young people in a time of great uncertainty, in a time where the world feels fractured and dangerous and uncertain, in a time where people are talking about AI, and Ugo will have more to say about that, hopefully. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it going to take away jobs from people? Is it going to create new opportunities? And certainly in a time where people feel that their future is threatened. And one of the best things, evidence-wise, that we know can help young people is actually paid work experience in sectors just as diverse as trucking, all the way to biotech, all the way to healthcare, to the trades, all different kinds of trades. Engineering, thinking of all the kinds of young stories, people's youth stories that I've heard over the number of years. And so we, as a federal government, as you know, transfer to provinces and territories huge amounts of money every single year. And as part of that, they ensure that over almost 300,000 youth are helped. But the federal government doesn't stop there. We actually also invest directly with community groups, with organizations, with employers to make sure that youth from every walk of life, people with disabilities, I'm looking at the incredible Krista in our audience who advocates for full inclusion of people with disabilities, people from racialized backgrounds, Indigenous students, young people who have not had the same opportunities as every other youth, have a chance to get a paid job. And so we're here to highlight the 175,000 additional jobs and skills building opportunities for youth on top of those almost 300,000 jobs through the provinces and territories that will improve youth employment across Canada. Nous sommes ici pour mettre en avant 175,000 offres d'emploi et possibilités de développement de compétences destinées aux jeunes, ainsi que des initiatives en matière d'éducation et de formation qui permettront d'améliorer l'emploi des jeunes partout au Canada. So first, I'd like to talk about the Youth Employment and Skills Strategy. And this year, this particular program will help over 20,000 young people get jobs or gain career experiences and skills. A few months ago, I met Thomas. He was actually a graduate and had quite significant tech skills, but was having a really hard time, believe it or not, finding a job in his sector. And he was hired as an intern through an organization called Prepper, which does exactly that work, matches employers with young people that have those incredible skills. And he was able to stay with Prepper. As a matter of fact, they loved him so much that they kept him on, and now he's the full-time technical solutions manager with that organization. Thomas's story is not unique. In fact, one of the great things about paid work experiences that I think is more valuable than the actual income that young people earn are the relationships that are developed between employers and young people. I am an employer. As a matter of fact, all the members of parliament on this stage are employers, and I've been an employer for a long time, and I can tell you that it is challenging when you are an employer, even through a process of interviewing and reviewing resumes, to find a good fit for your organization. But paid work experiences that are supported by the Government of Canada allow both the employer to see if the young person is a fit and the young person to see if the job that they were thinking would be so great is exactly what fits for them. Many times I've heard from students through programs like the Student Work Placement Program that supports about 55,000 work integrated learning opportunities, 15,000 more, by the way, this year, from these students that they think that they know the career that they want to pursue, but after a period of time they realize they want to tweak that direction, or they discover another stream within that sector that is infinitely fascinating, and they choose to actually add on to their education or change course somewhat. Someone like Tasnin, who's now a master's student in experimental medicine in her second year at the University of British Columbia, and through the Student Workplace program, she was able to complete 2 4-month placements at the Vancouver Coastal Health Centre and has applied for another because she loves that work so much. And she said that she was so grateful for the opportunity not only to work for the Coastal Health Centre, but to meet the clients that they serve. I know Ugo and Maggie will have their own experience that they will tell us about soon with this program. We also, as you know, recently announced that we would continue the 40% increase, and I want to thank Abdul here too for his advocacy and the advocacy of CASA to make sure that students actually can pay for this education, which really is a life changer. And so we've extended the temporary increase to non-repayable Canada student grants by 40% over pre-pandemic amounts and for another year. And this will help almost 600,000 students afford education. And we've also extended the temporary increase to the weekly Canada student loan limit to help about 422,000 students make ends meet while pursuing their dreams. And late last year, the reach of the Canada Student Loan Forgiveness Benefit was expanded to include more healthcare and social services, about 10 different professions, for professionals working in rural and remote communities, something near and dear to my heart. And we really hope that this will help inspire young people to choose a rural or remote area to practice. Finally, Canada Summer Jobs, which is truly a hallmark of the federal government. This is a career launching pad for so many young people. And it's so diverse. I can tell you that being the minister responsible for Canada Summer Jobs and reviewing the number of different opportunities that come up through the country is truly astounding. Everything from community-based work to sales and retail to sometimes trades and opportunities to get a feel for what a career in the skilled trades might look like. There are really no shortage of diverse opportunities across this country. And this year, there are up to 100,000 jobs that young people can apply for. And I hope that young people are ready and able to take up those jobs and get the experiences they need. This is almost 30,000 more than last year, and it's a real response to the anxiety and the worry and the youth unemployment rate that stays persistently high as we face these incredible challenging times. It also means that young people between 15 to 30 get the kinds of experiences, as I said before, allows them to hone their career path. Construction, technology, the environmental sector, recreation, tourism, really an infinite number of choices in every single region of the country, all across Canada. In fact, a young person named Ifat had a summer job last year, and he was an information resource specialist at Nova Scotia Works in Antigonish. And he told us that the experience helped him get a job with YMCA BC's Youth Employment Boot Camp program, where IFTAT helped youth facing the same career uncertainties that they faced. And the really interesting thing is that when people have that opportunity, I'm a little bit biased. I've spent my career in helping others. But when people feel that power of being able to be purposeful, like IFTAT felt, it can actually shape the direction of their career, even from something like a paid summer job. And so all of this is to help make sure that young people have the confidence, the tools, the financial support that they need to succeed now and into the future. And before I end, I just want to take a moment to talk about careers in the skilled trades. I see we have some skilled trades people in our audience, and I will say with full disclosure, even though my son hates every time I do this, but my son is a red seal crane operator. And so I've had an opportunity to see just how challenging and how rewarding it is to complete an apprenticeship in the skilled trades. But the Government of Canada needs more than ever more people to enter the skilled trades, because we are building an economy that dovetails with new technologies, but also practices that are deeply needed to build Canada strong. If we don't have the skilled tradespeople that we absolutely need more than ever as we see people retire and age out, then we are going to be limited in our ambition by the capacity of our human resources. And so the skilled trades are essential to the agenda of Canada. And in the coming years, there will be a huge number of skilled trade jobs, and these are quality jobs, well-paid jobs, honorable jobs, and I urge young people to consider a pathway into the skilled trades. It's why the federal government's developing a multi-pronged strategy to attract young Canadians into the trades. We will be spending $1 billion every year in apprenticeship supports, making training more accessible through loans, project funding, tax credits and deductions, and employment insurance benefits. And the Canadian Apprenticeship Strategy's investment in training equipment is making it easier and more affordable for unions and training providers to buy state-of-the-art training equipment and materials. And all of this puts young Canadians in the driver's seat, the leaders in the forefront of building Canada strong. So my message to young people today is don't be discouraged if a job search doesn't work out for you right away. There are alternatives. Be persistent. Don't lose hope. Ne vous découragez pas si vous ne trouvez pas tout de suite un emploi. Il y a toujours d'autres possibilités. Faites preuve de persévérance et ne perdez pas espoir. And to all of the adults in the room, I know many of you are trainers and employers and unions representatives. Thank you for what you're doing to make sure that the youth of Canada have the opportunities to build Canada strong. And I really appreciate the time this morning. Thank you very much.
Merci, Patty, et surtout merci pour ton leadership également. On a l'occasion, évidemment, de travailler ensemble depuis plusieurs années. On a appris à se connaître, mais tu mets vraiment la table sur le fait que ton expérience dans ta communauté fait en sorte que tu comprends les réalités, non seulement des jeunes, mais les réalités au niveau de l'emploi. Puis, je veux te remercier encore une fois d'être ici aujourd'hui pour partager ton travail, mais aussi partager qu'on a une solution qui est offerte. Le gouvernement fédéral fait vraiment sa part et sait qu'il y a des enjeux que nous devons affronter dans ces temps difficiles. Avant que je passe à la députée Koutrakis, je veux que vous sachiez qu'on a des jeunes sur la scène. Vous devinez, j'imagine, pourquoi. On va entendre leurs histoires très bientôt. Alors, ça nous permet de démontrer que comment les programmes du gouvernement fonctionnent. I do want to say, though, Canada Summer Jobs. The good news that I had last week was to call over 500. There's 500 jobs in Ottawa, Vanier, Gloucester alone. And I had to call the employers to give them the good news. Wow, that is the best part of the year. When I get to call and say, hey, you have 5, 10, sometimes 2 jobs. And the calls were last week. So you will see some job openings happening now and over the course of the summer. And it's really exciting because there are really great, and as you said, Minister, diverse opportunities to gather skills and work in a great environment, especially in the National Capital Region. Alors, regardez ça parce que l'Emploi d'été Canada, c'est vraiment une opportunité pour que les jeunes puissent justement aller chercher des expériences. Et vous n'êtes pas obligé d'être étudiant. Vous pouvez être un jeune de 15 à 30 ans, si je ne me trompe pas, pour être admissible. Donc, vous allez voir qu'il y a une diversité. Maintenant, j'aimerais inviter la députée Annie Koutrakis, mais aussi secrétaire parlementaire, comme on a dit plus tôt, de la ministre, à également partager son message. Merci, Annie.
Merci beaucoup. C'est vraiment un plaisir pour moi d'être ici parmi vous avec la ministre et ma collègue Mona Fortier aussi. C'est vraiment un plaisir de travailler avec eux à chaque jour pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes. Ce n'est pas un travail facile, mais c'est un travail qui est vraiment un privilège de faire les bonnes choses pour tous les gens qu'on a le privilège de servir. Donc, merci beaucoup. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Mona, for your very warm welcome. Thank you, Minister, for all the hard work that you do. It's really a pleasure and a privilege for me to work alongside you to make sure that we are there for all Canadians, but especially we're here today to talk about youth employment, which is really one of the most noble things that we can do as parliamentarians. I mean, the youth is the future for Canada, and if we're going to build a Canada strong, we need the youth to be there. They are the future, they are the voices. I am a mother of 2 adult sons, and recently, 7.5 months ago, became a grandmother to my little granddaughter, Eliana. So as you could tell, youth is very much at the center of what I think of and do every single day. As I said, I'm thrilled to be here today with Minister Hajdu to expand on some of the actions she mentioned that support youth employment in Canada. You know, every time I meet young people, whether it's in a classroom, a community center, or on a work site, I'm reminded of their drive and optimism. Employers tell me the same thing. Young people bring fresh ideas and real energy. That's why these programs matter. They open doors, build confidence, and create those first opportunities that can change a life, starting with the Student Work Placement Program. It not only gives post-secondary students paid work experience, but it also helps employers recruit and develop top talent for their businesses, a real win-win scenario. Prior to me being a politician in 2019, I had the privilege of leading 200 people at 2 different branches, one at CIBC Wood Gundy and then later on at Raymond James. One of the most fulfilling things that I ever did was to mentor the young people that were coming and applying, whether they were still in school finishing a degree or whether they just wanted a summer internship job, to see what it's like to work in the real world. So offering youth that opportunity is so crucial, and I encourage all employers and academics and all the people that are here today, if you have the opportunity to mentor, whether it's in an internship position or whether it's just a summer job, I really encourage you to do that because it's so fulfilling for everyone. There are 2 types of opportunities that this program supports. There are your traditional work placements as well as innovative work-integrated learning experiences. Those are non-traditional experiences like hackathons, boot camps, and micro-internships. I never heard of those 3 things before I read my notes, to be very honest with you. And I thought, hackathons, is that a good thing? Apparently it is. And between the 2 streams, this program has created over 300,000 opportunities for post-secondary students since 2017. Roughly 51,000 were created in 2024-25, and we're aiming for 55,000 in 26 and 27. This program is part of a $635 million 3-year investment from Budget 2025. 34,000 employers and 420 post-secondary institutions have participated in this program. So we know it's working. And with summer around the corner, helping employers hire more youth is a top priority. C'est là que notre programme Emploi d'été Canada entre en jeu. Depuis 2019, il a appuyé plus de 600 000 occasions d'emploi de grande qualité pour les jeunes et les étudiants. Il offre aux employeurs des subventions salariales qui permettent aux jeunes d'acquérir une précieuse expérience de travail pratique. C'est donc une occasion en autant pour les jeunes que pour les employeurs. Et des études récentes indiquent que les jeunes ayant participé à Emploi d'été Canada voient leurs revenus à long terme augmenter et dépendent moins des soutiens sociaux. Il répond aussi aux besoins du marché du travail, tant à l'échelle nationale que locale, tout en offrant un accès à l'emploi aux jeunes qui font face à des obstacles à l'intégration. This brings me to our Youth Employment and Skills Strategy Program. It's a $307 million 2-year commitment in Budget 2025 to continue providing employment training, work opportunities, and supports like mentorship, transportation, and mental health counseling. But we can't do this alone. The YES program is part of our youth employment strategy and is delivered by 11 federal departments, agencies, and Crown corporations. It's a real team effort to help our youth succeed in the workforce of tomorrow. I'll wrap it up here because I can continue talking for hours and hours, and that's not why we're here. These are just a few of the concrete actions we're taking to help Canada's youth find meaningful jobs and build brighter futures. And if you see me on the street, I encourage you to ask me about our Canadian apprenticeship strategy or our union training and innovation program. And I'll likely also tell you about our labor market agreements and brand new workforce alliances. I recently took a visit to Algonquin College, and I see some friends here, and thank you for being here. And I was amazed to see the great work that this only one academic institution is doing with the skills trade. I saw women deciding to not continue with their office jobs 9 to 5 because they felt that they were not giving back enough and it wasn't fulfilling. So I saw a young woman who decided to be a welder. We spoke to others who were wanting to be in construction to start building homes. It was one of the most amazing visits that I've had, and I thank you very much for giving me the privilege to visit with you and see all the great work that you're doing. And I look forward to visiting others. So if there's an opportunity you feel that we can come and visit and see all the great work that you are doing, please reach out. I'm sure that the Minister and Mona and myself and any one of our colleagues would be really, really grateful to come and visit. What stays with me are the people behind these programs. The youth getting that first chance and the employer supporting them. Their determination is what drives us. It's a reminder that when we open doors for young people, we're not just helping them succeed today. We're helping build a strong Canada for tomorrow. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Annie. Puis, tu as raison, on a des belles opportunités ici dans la région pour faire des visites. Je sais que j'en fais souvent, mais je suis prête à en faire plus. Alors, on a des exemples concrets, mais on a aussi des opportunités pour pouvoir en faire davantage. Puis je pense que c'est ce qu'on partage aujourd'hui. Alors maintenant, on passe au témoignage, qui est pour moi souvent vraiment la meilleure façon de démontrer le travail qui se fait non seulement par le gouvernement fédéral, mais aussi par des employeurs et des démonstrations concrètes, évidemment, de comment ces programmes fonctionnent. Donc, je voudrais maintenant vous présenter Hugo, qui est un ingénieur logiciel avec Solis, qui a effectué un stage chez Solis par l'entremise du Conseil des technologies de l'information et des communications, alors qu'il complétait son programme d'études en génie logiciel ici à l'Université d'Ottawa. Et ce stage s'est réalisé grâce au Conseil des technologies de l'information et des communications, qui est partenaire du programme de stage pratique pour étudiants. Alors, je voudrais accueillir Hugo Parry. Hugo.
Merci pour la bonne introduction. So, good morning. My name is Hugo, and I graduated from here, the University of Ottawa. I'm here today to share my journey. So as a student, UOttawa's co-op platform really enabled me to connect directly with employers and introduced me to leading-edge companies. And through those placements, I gained the kind of expertise you can only learn when you're part of the workforce. One of those placements happened to be at Solis. And one anecdote that I keep telling friends and family is about my last co-op term. Like most students in my position, we're all looking for a full-time position. And through networking, I was able to introduce myself to the Chief AI Officer at Solis. And I also had the opportunity to work with him on his team for the last month of my co-op term. What an interview. Yeah, I was able to demonstrate my abilities, made a case for myself, and before I even finished my degree, I was approached with a full-time position as a software engineer. As you can imagine, that was a huge weight off of my shoulders. It meant I could actually focus on my studies and not stress about what came next. And when I joined the team full-time, we were a team of 4 individuals. And now, a little over a year later, we're a team of more than 30 people, and we're leading the agentic artificial intelligence in the region. And honestly, I could not have asked for a role that I'm more passionate about. So all of this to say, none of this would have been possible without the support of the ICTC and the University of Ottawa. These programs really gave me the foundation, the connections, and the opportunity to build a career that I'm really proud of. And that's why I think it's critical to continue supporting students through these initiatives so that others can have the same opportunities I did. Thank you.
Merci Hugo, c'est vraiment intéressant. J'ai vraiment hâte de voir d'ici 1 an, 2 ans, 3 ans ton parcours. Parce que tu es vraiment bien commencé. Mais là, tu vas jouer un rôle, je pense, qui est nécessaire pour que Solis puisse continuer à œuvrer ici dans la région. Bravo. It is now my pleasure to invite Maggie, a student in health sciences here at University of Ottawa, who partook in a work placement at the Berman Zebra Fish Lab through BioTalent, a student workplace program partner. I believe it's at CHIO? At CHIO, but we're going to hear more about it right now. Maggie, your turn.
I know zebrafish sounds a little crazy, but I promise they're not that crazy. It's very, very, very manageable. But yeah, thank you so much, Mona Fortier, for the wonderful introduction. As I mentioned, my name is Maggie DeVock, and I'm a 4th-year health sciences student here at the University of Ottawa. With support from the Student Work Placement Program through BioTalent, as she mentioned, I had the privilege of completing my final 2 co-op terms with the CHIO Research Institute at the Berman Zebrafish Lab, located here at U Ottawa's downtown campus. During this time, I worked with the zebrafish model of an inherited bone marrow failure syndrome, where I investigated potential therapeutic compounds to improve blood cell production. This experience not only strengthened my scientific knowledge and laboratory science skills, but also gave me valuable opportunities to grow as a communicator. I presented my research at the CHIO Research Institute's Serge Taillon Summer Studentship Day, which really helped build my confidence in sharing scientific ideas. I also had a chance to attend the Canadian Zebrafish Research Council meeting, and I was incredibly honored to have received the 2025 Co-op Student of the Year Award in recognition of my academic achievements and contributions to both the lab and my community. For me, co-op and everything, there is no substitute for hands-on real-world learning, and co-op at U Ottawa gave me the opportunity to explore new environments, take on challenges, and develop both personally and professionally, which can be difficult to do when trying to gain new experiences on your own. Through these experiences, I've enhanced my skills in public speaking, problem solving, time management, organization, and collaboration, alongside, of course, basic science skills. I will continue to build on these skills as I enter my final year of undergraduate studies here at U Ottawa in the fall. And most importantly, my time in the Berman Lab has solidified my goal of becoming a clinician researcher. And I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities I've had, and I hope my story highlights just how impactful programs just like the Student Work Placement Program can be. And thank you so much for listening.
I am so curious to find out more. So I can't wait for you. I hope we can go visit your lab. I'd be curious, right? Hein, Minister? That's not what we do in our day job. Alors, vraiment, c'était vraiment excitant d'entendre ton histoire et évidemment, je te souhaite beaucoup, beaucoup de succès parce que, évidemment, tu es vraiment bien parti. Puis, on est très content de t'avoir ce matin. Maintenant, j'aimerais inviter Icarline, qui est avec le YMCA de la région de la Capitale-Nationale, à venir nous partager son expérience.
Hello, my name's Ika, and it's an honor to be here today. I'm freshly 21, and I'm here to share my story. So, in 2023, my mother passed away, and sadly, it was a few days before I graduated high school. So with the sole provider of my household gone, I had no home. I was able to stay with family friends that I reconnected with prior to her passing, and they took me in despite not having any room for me and not hearing from me for years. From then, I was able to be accepted into the YMCA's second stage housing program, where I finally had a room to myself since my mom had passed. Soon after my arrival, I was able to volunteer at a soccer tournament hosted at the YMCA, where I got the chance to get comfortable with my second stage neighbors as well as network, despite me not knowing it at the time. Soon my neighbors became my friends and I found community once again. After the soccer tournament, I was told about Your Job Story, the YMCA's pre-employment skills program, and I learned that Gabby and Patrick from the soccer tournament were actually in charge of the program. There, I was able to learn all about the skills necessary to be an asset in the workplace, and I actually found my first job not long after cohort ended. So after cohort ended, I was able to move into my own apartment where I was able to use all of the skills and things that I learned to be a functioning adult on my own. Without the YMCA's services and what they provide, I would be nowhere near close to where I am today. And when I'm asked, I always say that the YMCA saved my life, but also taught me how to live. Thank you, everybody.
Merci, Caroline, and thank you, Rebecca, for being here today with the YMCA. I know the YMCA was a path, but I have to say the courage and the resilience that you have, you should be so proud of yourself and everything you've accomplished so far. Aren't we inspired today? One more inspiration that we are going to meet now, Abdul, who's the chair of the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations and also Vice President External of the University of Alberta Students' Union. I have to say, the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations, when I was a student, I was also very engaged and still strong organization. Thank you so much for the advocacy and how you work with us to make sure we understand what is needed. And I will now welcome Abdul Abbasi to come and share a few words. Merci, Abdul.
Thank you, PS Fortier. Good morning, everyone. My name is Abdul Abbasi, and I'm the chair of the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations. In our partnership with Union Étudiante du Québec, CASA represents more than 500,000 post-secondary students from coast to coast. Today's announcement is a welcome news for students. At a time when too many students are struggling to break into the labor market, this investment sends a clear message that supporting students and young Canadians remains a priority. Budget 2025 includes more than $1.5 billion in youth employment programs, including $635.5 million over 3 years for student work placement program. This was a key CASA priority, and we're pleased to see the government respond to our call of thousands of student jobs. I would like to thank Minister Hajdu, MP Koutrakis, and MP Church for this investment and for the extension of the Canada Student Grant. For students, this is more than a number in a budget. It is a co-op placement that will open a door to their first opportunity. It is the summer job that will help cover rent, groceries, and tuition. It is the chance to build experience while still completing their education. We hear from students across the country that one of the biggest barriers they face is getting their foot in the door. Too often, students are told they need experience to get hired, but they need someone to give them that first chance in order to build it. This is why investments like this matter. They help students earn while they learn and strengthen the connection between education and workforce. At CASA, we believe that education builds a nation. And when students are given a chance to turn learning into experience, they do not just build their own future, they help build Canada's future as well. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Abdul, pour ta présentation et encore une fois pour tout le travail de mobilisation que vous faites à travers le pays. Je sais que les députés de la Chambre des communes reçoivent souvent votre organisation dans nos bureaux et on est souvent à l'écoute et je sais qu'on doit en faire encore plus, mais on est à l'écoute. Alors, merci. Thank you. Let's give a big round of applause for this inspirational panel that we have today. Évidemment, une conférence de presse ne serait pas possible si on ne répondrait pas aux questions. Alors, nous allons maintenant inviter les quelques questions des médias. Et si je comprends bien, nous allons commencer par les représentants des médias présents dans la salle et nous poursuivrons avec ceux ou celles qui sont présents sur Zoom. Alors, est-ce qu'on a des questions dans la salle?
Oui, il n'y a que des questions dans la salle aujourd'hui. Nous allons prendre des questions, une question de suivi chacun. Veuillez mentionner votre nom et le journal que vous représentez. We'll now take questions, one question, one follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet. Première question, first question.
Hi, Craig Lord with the Canadian Press. Minister Hajdu, has the federal government and Canada more broadly failed to encourage youth to pursue careers in the skilled trades to the degree that we need them now in this drive for infrastructure and home building?
Well, thank you for the question. And what I would say is that it's been actually a journey of probably at least 40 years of discouraging people to enter the skilled trades. In fact, in my generation, there was a skilled trades high school in my own community of Thunder Bay, and the students that attended that skilled trades high school were deeply stigmatized by the choice to enter the trades. And at that time, there was a push by adults and all kinds of people that, and particularly families, that the true path to success and to status was to gain a university degree. And there was a discouragement of pursuing the skilled trades. Now, over the last decade or so, governments of all different levels have been working to undo that amount of stigma that's related to going into the skilled trades. And an undue amount of stigma, I will tell you, because in fact, the data is clear that with an undergrad in general arts versus a even 3-year apprentice in the skilled trades, the earning potential of the tradesperson is actually much higher. And it is also a pathway to a job or placements in a variety of different fields, construction, transportation, a number of different fields, that is actually supported, especially in a unionized training environment. And so the federal government is doubling down on the work that we're doing to support provinces and territories to get more people interested in the skilled trades. That's why we are examining the kinds of incentives to complete skilled trades training, looking at the barriers with unions about why people drop out of skilled trades training. I will say these trades in many cases are very complex. There is a rigor that is needed around math, around trade science, and we want to make sure that young people who choose a path into trades are well set up to succeed. And so I think we're starting to turn a corner, but it is the legacy of decades and decades of, I would say, public sentiment about career choices.
And over the past year of a minority Liberal government, do you feel you faced any obstacles in rolling out the economic agenda? And if the Liberals are successful later today in securing a majority government, should Canadians expect to see any difference in the pace of delivery from the federal government?
Well, I think for me, I have deep respect for the House Leader and many others that work to develop relationships across the party lines in the House of Commons. You know, as a federal Liberal, we've been in a minority government situation for a number of years, and the work gets done through collaboration, and sometimes that collaboration sounds and looks messy, but at the end of the day, that is how the work gets done. I believe that's important in a majority government as well. And I think that regardless of the outcome of the elections today, it'll be important that we work together. Canadians are expecting us to work together, not just at the federal level across the lines of partisanship, but also interprovincially with premiers and parties in different provinces and territories that are of different partisan stripes. What Canadians are worried about right now is what does the future look like for them? What does the future look like for their family and their children? And that calls on a solidarity that I think the Prime Minister is bringing.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV Ottawa. The youth unemployment is sitting at 13.8% in March. I'm just wondering if you have a thought on that number. If, yeah, I mean, we've heard that it is difficult for people to find work. So how much of a priority is tackling that number?
Well, yes, that is deeply concerning, in fact, because prolonged unemployment as a young person can really inhibit their career trajectory, but also their earning potential over the course of their life. And that's why this announcement today, and that's why we're working so closely with colleges, universities, unions. There are, as I've spoken about in other announcements, the establishment of 6 sector alliances that are right now getting up and going in sectors as diverse as transportation, construction, energy, care. And these sector alliances are meant to actually streamline the opportunity for young person to make sure their training is lining up with the needs of the industry, something that, by the way, industry has been calling for a very, very long time. So there's a lot of work going on right now to bring down that number of young people facing unemployment and ensure that people have, in particular, paid work experiences that lead to a better integration to the labor market.
Any follow-ups, Kimberly? Do we have additional questions? Oh, if it's media time, you can ask the questions to the minister afterwards. That's okay. Ceci met fin à cette conférence de presse. This puts an end to the press conference. I will turn back over to Parliamentary Secretary Fortier.
Alors, comme vous pouvez voir, nous avons eu une très bonne annonce ce matin, le fait que le gouvernement fédéral continue à travailler pour soutenir les jeunes, les emplois et s'assurer qu'on continue à avoir un Canada fort. Et une petite note, ce soir, on va probablement élire 3 nouvelles femmes à la Chambre des communes. Et je suis très excitée de voir cet accueil qu'on va pouvoir faire pour 3 nouvelles parlementaires, probablement, en fin de soirée ce soir. Merci beaucoup. Je vous souhaite une bonne journée.